Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Ballabha, Jaya Girivaradari, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Banachari, Yamuna Tira Banachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So I welcome everybody for today's Bhagavatam class. Yeah, so let me share my screen. Yeah, before starting, let us do prayers. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadaki Sapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuyota Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sakara Raghunanvitam Tam Sajivam Taitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sarvita Shishakam. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठपतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवाद पाशदेश तारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुकाम करोति वाचारं भंगोलांगायते कृपातम हम वंदे श्री गुरु दीनतरं श्री चैतन्य माधवं परमानंद ईश्वरं हरे तत्सत्. Okay, so we will go and we will today read 15th and 16th shloka of chapter 7 canto 3. Let me recite the shloka. So yeah, viduro vacham sanchinaha samasayo mahayam tava sukta sina vibo Ubhyatrapi Bhagavan Mano Me Sampradavati. Let me read the word to word meaning and then translation. Vidura said, Vidura said, Sanchinaha, cut off, Samshayaha, doubts, Mahayam, unto me, Tavaha, your, Suktaha, Asinaha, by the weapon of convincing words, Vibho, O my Lord, Ubhayatra Api, both in good, both in God and in the living entity, Bhagwan, O powerful one, Manaha, mind, me, my, Sampradaha, Vatihi, perfectly entering. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Vidura said, O powerful sage, my Lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them. Okay, further, before going further, let me recite some more prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Sojaya Mudirai Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Bhaktir Bhavati. Next king Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Let us read the purport. The science of Krishna, or the science of God and the living entities, is so subtle that a personality like Vidura has to consult a personality like Sage Maitreya. Okay, so today, because we are at the kind of end of the instruction by Maitreya to Vidura. In the previous sloka we saw the final words of instruction which Maitreya had given to Vidura. Now Vidura is thanking, or Vidura is saying that. But we can see how Vidura says this, and Prabhupada mentions even the personality like Vidura. So Vidura is not an ordinary personality; he's a great personality, and even he consults, sage or Maitreya. So we will see further about Vidura. Okay, doubts about the eternal relationship of the Lord and living entities are created by the mental speculators in different ways. But the conclusive fact is that relationship of God and the living entity is one of the predominator and predominated. So what is the relationship? Jivara Swarupoy Krishna Nitya Das. So the position of the living entity is that of a servitor, or when it is predominated by the Lord. So it gives pleasure to both the living entity as well as the Lord. Lord is eternal predominator and the living entity are eternally dominated. So living entity wants to serve Krishna and Krishna also wants to serve the living entity. The real knowledge of this relationship entails the reviving the lost connection to this standard, and the process for such revival is devotional service to the Lord. So Prabhupada says how we can revive this consciousness is by devotional service to the Lord. By clearly understanding from authorities like Sage Maitreya, one can become situated in real knowledge, and disturbed mind can thus be fixed on the progressive path. Okay, so this is the purport for shloka number 15th. Now we will read shloka number 16. We will cover both of them today. Sadhava itat vyahatraham vidan nam natma mayanam hare abhyati apartam nirmulam vishwamulam nayat Bahi. Okay. Who learned Sage? Your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbance, disturbance to the conditioned soul have no other basis other than the movement of the external energy of the Lord. So disturbance is due to the conditioned soul, due to the movement of the external energy of the Lord. Okay, so we will see. A living entity's unlawful desire to become one with the Lord in every aspect is the root cause of the entire material manifestation. So this statement is very important. You know, so what is the root cause of entire material manifestation? Why Krishna creates all this manifestation? Because the living entity has a desire to become one with the Lord. So this is a very the root cause. Because of this root cause, to become, I want to be the controller, I want to be the proprietor, and I want to be the enjoyer separately from the Lord. So that is the root cause, because of which Krishna has to fulfill that desire. Living entity has that desire. I want to do this. So then he has to create this complete cosmic manifestation. And the living entity suffers, how children, when they are away from the parents, they kind of, even though in the beginning they will feel it is kind of enjoyment, then they will feel it is kind of a suffering because there is nobody to take care of them. Similarly, the living entity, they want to leave the association of the Lord and want to enjoy separately, but that gives only pain. That loving exchange itself, which is kind of a giving pleasure, so that is missing when the living entity comes to this material world. Okay, for otherwise the Lord has no need to create such a manifestation, even for his pastime. So even for doing his pastime, he does not have to create this material world. He can do his pastime in his spiritual. So eternally, so many pastimes are going on in the spiritual world. Well, only missing thing is that there are no demons. There will be no demons in those pastimes, like which is there in this material manifestation. The conditioned soul, under the spell of external energy of the Lord, falsely suffers many unfortunate incident in the material life. Okay, yeah, the conditioned souls, because of this Maya, this makes because soul is Sachidanand. It does not because, but it has got attachment, and then it attaches to this material world or to this body, and then it suffers, so many unfortunate incidents. The Lord is the predominator of the external energy. So Krishna says, Maya Dakshina. So, so this Maya is under my control, or it is my energy. Okay. So Lord is the predominator of the external energy, Maya, whereas the living entity is predominated by the same Maya under the material condition. So if the living entity does not take the shelter of Krishna, then the Maya will control over it. It is like, if you turn away from Krishna, then you will turn towards Maya. Okay, so that is how it is. The false attempt of a living entity to occupy the predominant post of the Lord is the cause of material bondage. So, what is the cause of material bondage? Attempt. I want to be aham bhogi. I want to be the supreme enjoyer. I want to be the proprietor. So that is the cause of the material bondage. And the conditioned soul's to overcome attempt to become one with the Lord is the last snare of Maya. So the very dangerous and or the last snare is like, the people who wants to become God himself. Sometimes they say, Mayavadis, you are Narayan, I am Narayan. There is Daridra Narayan, this Narayan, that Narayan. Because they want to merge with the Lord. Because they want to become the Lord. So that is the the last snare of the Maya. So that is a very dangerous stuff. So similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what is it? Mayavati Bhashashune Oy Sarvanash. So this Maya is very dangerous. Okay. And becoming one with the Lord is kind of a very dangerous. It is kind of a suicide for a devotees. Devotees never want to merge with the Lord, because the pleasure what devotees get by serving the Lord is more than anything. You cannot. If, for example, even the Brahmavadis, when they go to the Brahma Jyoti or the effulgence of the Lord, so they will be kind of in a state of suspension. They will be alone, so they don't have any association. And how long they can be like that, even though they don't have this birth, death, old age, and disease, but still they don't have anything to do. They don't have association. They don't have anybody to serve. So that kind of, yeah. So that is not there. So that is a case of Brahmavadis. So now let us see this complete pastime of Vidura consulting Uddhava and then meeting Maitra and then asking so many questions to Maitri Rishi. Okay, so we will see that, because now in the previous verse we kind of there was a very nice instruction given by Maitra Rishi. So kind of completing the instruction by Maitra Rishi. So let us see who is Vidura. Correct. So now we will go back little back, kind of revise this our understanding. So Vidura was kind of a very much qualified personality, and he was himself fit for being a king. Okay, so we know Vidura was a Yamraj, and he is one of the Mahajanas. He has all the good qualities, and he was so nice, and he was so very intelligent, honest, good in diplomacy, and he was ready to do anything for his subject. Okay, so these were the complete qualities which which were fit for him to become a king. And also he was a pure devotee of the Lord. Okay, thoughtful and always meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. But only one disqualification which Vidura had, because he was born to a maid servant. Okay, or to in the womb of a lower birth, a woman. So that was a kind of a only disqualification in the eyes of the society. But as per Shastra, what it says, the uh, person's position is not by his birth, but by his qualities. So that is what Krishna also says. I have created this for varnas and ashrama, and they are basically upon the qualities. And these were the qualities of Vidura. He was a devotee and a storehouse of all the good qualities. What Bhagavatam says, anybody who is a devotee, he will develop all the good qualities. Hmm? If it is not now, slowly, he will keep on developing all the good qualities. But the main condition is he should be a devotee of the Lord. And if a person has all the good qualities and if he's not devotee of the Lord, it is of no use. Okay. And similarly, we can see Dhritarashtra. Okay. And what was his qualities? He was kind of a blind, very envious. He was envious of his own brother, and he was very foolish, and he was very much attached to the throne, and he wanted to rule the kingdom. Hmm? Okay. And he didn't. He was, even though he was born in the higher family, very good family, but he did not have the qualities. So such people is usually called as, like in kind of a Brahmana family. If somebody is born who does not have a Brahmana qualities, he is called as a uh, Brahma Bandhu, or Dvijabandhu. Dvijabandhu he is called as. So similarly, his only qualification was he was born to a queen. That was the only difference between Vidura and Dhritarashtra. So, but Vidura had all the good qualities. And he was supposed to be a king. He was very much qualified to be the position of the king. And then this was one comparison, as well as there was another comparison which is like, the Pandavas and Duryodhana. I mean to say Kauravas. So like, the similarly the Pandavas had all the good qualities. They were very good qualities. They were basically, uh, uh, devotee of the Lord. Okay. And they were some children of like different demigods also. So they had all the good qualities. And Duryodhana's, he always was envious, and he had a desire to rule over the kingdom. Okay. And Vidura was seeing this, and since he was devotee of the Lord, he always used to pain, like how much difficulty or how much cruelty is done to Pandavas. Okay. And even Pandava, Vidura was asking, what to say, Dhritarashtra, why you are so against Pandavas? What kind of this thing harm they have done to you? And these Pandavas, they are so much having good qualities that they are ready to sacrifice their life anytime for you. They can lay their life anytime. If whenever required, they are ready to do that. And compared to Duryodhana, you are so attached, but he's so like, what to say? He always creates a havoc. And if something does not go according to his desire, then he will just create a havoc. And why are siding with him? Hmm? So similarly, like in this regard, so when Krishna had sent Akrura also to find out the status of Hastinapur, and when this what to say, Akrura came, and then when he was hearing Kunti Maharani, so how much suffering she had to undergo, being alone, and how much extracity, like for example, her son was like Bhima was kind of poisoned, and he was tried to be killed. Hmm. But still, they were devotee of Lord, and they were always grateful to the Lord. Kunti was always remembering the Lord. Hmm. And even Akrura was able to observe everything, how pious these Pandavas are there, how pious Kunti is there. And he also told Dhritarashtra, don't be envious of Pandavas. Please understand this. These Pandavas are a devotee of the Lord. Hmm? Kunti Marani is a devotee of the Lord. And anybody who is a devotee of the Lord, they will be successful. So if you go against the devotees of Krishna, you will be annihilated. And even Dhritarashtra knew this, he knew this Krishna was a supreme personality of Godhead, and he knew this would happen. But still, he was so much attached to Duryodhan. Okay, so that is where one of the lecture which I was hearing, Maharaj was saying, even sometime attachment to a family member, some very very too much attachment can lead to one to Maya. It can cover one's intelligence. So one has to be very much careful. So in that regard, the association is very important. In this case, like Duryodhana had got association of his uncle Shakuni, and also Duryodhana had association of kind of his father, who was also kind of envious. Hmm? Okay, so it is very important that we give a good association to our children. And for example, we know, like if if the children have what kind of a friends you have, based on that we can tell what is your characteristic. Similarly, if we also want to be, for example, progress in devotional life, first thing what we have to do is select our association. We associate with the devotees who are eager to hear the holy name, who are eager to hear the pastime of the Lord, and who want to progress in devotional service. So we place ourselves in the association of such people, and then we can progress. Similarly, when we have to take care that we make sure that our children also have a good association. So so that is a kind of a very important part. Okay, so that is what one thing which Duryodhana didn't had. He had an association of bad people. His association was bad because his nature was also like that. Yeah. Then we can see further. So whenever because Vidura, he was so much attached uh, to give a good advice to his brother Dhritarashtra. Also, he was seeing what was happening. So always he was advising, Dhritarashtra, please get rid of Duryodhan. Don't allow him to do whatever he wants. He's kind of a offense personified. And one time Duryodhana, also heard that, and he became very, very angry. And then he asked, what do you say, Vidura, leave this palace and go away. Leave everything, or else I will kill you. He brought the soldiers and army, everything. Now we have to understand Vidura also had a birthright in the kingdom, but still, then he went and asked Dhritarashtra, this is what Duryodhana is saying, asking me to get away. So will you also go with him, or will you allow to this happen? And Dhritarashtra was silent, and Vidura took this as adversity, or this kind of a difficulty also as a mercy of the Lord. And then what he did, he left everything, from even with whatever ornaments and this thing he had in his body also, and all weapons, everything he left at Duryodhana's place, and he left. you know so devotees, what is the quality of devotees? Even if they come across some adversity, they accept as the mercy of the Lord. Similarly, Vidur accepted this difficulty. So we have to understand Vidura was born and brought up in a big king palace, so there was no difficulty for anything. Hmm? And he had all the facilities from his childhood, and suddenly he's asked to go without any facility. It's quite a difficult. He's kind of a prime minister. For example, even we are having on a small house or whatever is there, we are so much attached, and if we are kind of have to leave everything and go, we cannot think of but Vidura took that as a mercy of the Lord, and he traveled to the different holy places, and he met the holy people, and he had the darshan of the different deities, took bath in different uh, a river, because he had complete faith in the Lord. So 9.22, what says? Ananyasya chinto man yejana paripasate tesham abhiktana yoga shema vahamyam. So he had complete faith, Krishna will take care of me. Konteya patijanati name bhakti pranashyati. So he had this faith. My Lord will always protect me. So whatever is the condition, whatever is the state, Lord will always protect me. So that is what the complete faith was there. So yeah. So we can see here, okay, uh, there was I think next slide. Yeah. So we can, like I was hearing one lecture in which, Maharaj was saying, so there is an example of Great Depression of America. So there was one period when, there was the complete stock market crashed. So we know it as a depression period of US, when I think everything got crashed, and big people who were, in big palaces, and they didn't had even money to buy a simple potato. So that is what was the condition. And then, nowadays, so that was so difficult, and they were not able to survive also. With that shock, they took their life. But in case of Vidura, we can see how he was, even though he was in very big palace, and he was having the position of a prime minister, the chief minister kind of a thing, and he left everything. So he was kind of nothing with him. So still he was in peace. He was kind of not agitated by it. Okay, yeah, and so that is the reason the people usually think, to buy a insurance bond or insurance policy to safeguard. But how much protection this insurance can give? you know it cannot protect one from the disease, or sudden death. The insurance cannot protect anybody. But the best insurance, what Vidur had the best insurance. He had the relationship with the Lord and chanting the name of the Lord. Hmm? And so he was in always. So that is a best relationship or best insurance what a devotee can have is devotional service or a faith with the Lord, because Krishna gives this. What is it? Confirmation. Konte pratijanati name bhakte pranishyati. So Krishna says that. Okay, so we should be having a faith. So devotional service is kind of the best insurance. Okay, and that insurance will never fail. The relationship with the Lord. So Vidura was like, lotus leaf. He was not getting affected by all these miseries. So we should not have faith in anything else. This person will protect me. That person will protect me. This thing will protect me. That thing will protect me. Whether this big house will protect, or the money will protect some family member, or though so many who nobody can protect. The only person who can protect us or who can give us the protection, or who can give us insurance is the Lord. So that is how even LIC people have taken this shloka. Yeah, but we should understand the only protection what we can get is the protection of the Lord. Similarly, we see Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, even though they were in the big palaces, but they were miserable. They were thinking anytime this thing will be taken from us, and they was always thinking how to kill Pandavas, how to kill Pandavas. Day and night they were kind of miserable. And we see Vidura, even though he didn't add anything, he was happy. He was traveling to different places. He thought, okay, this is the time. And then he went to the different places, have association of devotees there, to bath in nice holy rivers. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm, correct. So during this time, Vidura was kind of a traveling. Okay. So we understand the people come for four thing. Four kind of people comes. One who is in distress, or one who is need of money, artharthi, jigyasu. Okay, and yeah, so one who is uh, what is happening, kind of who want to know, and one who is in knowledge. So this kind of four kind of people come. But what is the ultimate aim? Ultimate aim one can get from Krishna is a Krishna prem, love for the Lordhead, which is like ultimate aim of coming to the Lord. And Vidura had that, Vidura had that love for the Lord. Okay, and when Vidura was traveling, so many things happened. Like the Mahabharata happened, the Yadu dynasty, kind of wound up, and Vidura didn't knew anything about this because there was no newspaper at that time, and kind of yeah. So kind of so many things happened during his travel, and we see yeah. So there was so when he met yeah. Mm, yeah, so then he met Uddhava, so then he met Uddhava, and then he inquired from Uddhava about different things, what happened to Pandavas, what happened to Krishna's family, all those. Hmm? Even though Uddhava was so much elevated, okay, then Vidura was so much elevated. So Vidura had so much devotion to the Lord, okay, and we know this pastime of how Krishna came. Krishna came to what to say Vidura's house, and he personally had food in the house of Vidura. So Vidura was quite elevated. Uh, yeah, but even though he was so elevated, he took the instruction from Maitreya. Okay, so that is one thing which we understand. Hmm? He didn't think I am so advanced, or I am so much this thing. Why I should hear from Maitreya? Not like that. Uddhava, sorry, I meant to say Vidura. he had he had desire to progress spiritually more. So because of that, he was hearing from Maitreya, and Krishna had already told, that is the reason Krishna had told this Uddhav Gita to Uddhava as well as Maitreya. So he knew this Vidura will come and meet Maitreya. And so here also in this verse we see, in this verse we see, um, even the personality, like Vidura. So Vidura was so elevated kind of a personality. He was, one of the Mahajanas. Still, he's inquiring from Maitreya. What is good, what is about. Tell me about those all pastime, how the creation was happened, and then he also thanks in this verse. Oh, powerful sage, my lord, all my doubts about the supreme personality of Godhead is, kind of cleared. So that is how the thought is there, and how the knowledge will flow from higher to lower. If somebody thinks I have a lot of knowledge, and you will not get the knowledge. So that is a kind of a, so that is why it is told in Bhagavad Gita 9, Rajavidyam Rajagoyam. Somebody will think, what is so secret about Rajagoyam? Bhagavad Gita is available, anybody can read, but not, it is not like that. Krishna says, because you are non-envious of me, and you have, you are my friend. So this attitude, which is given more importance by Krishna. Similarly, we see Vidura also, the attitude what he had towards Maitreya, trying to understand, trying to learn more and more, traveling to different places. Only thing is that he wanted to progress more and more in the spiritual life. Hmm. Yeah. And how we see, if most of us, like for in our case, what happens if we see, or in general public, whenever we go for distributing book or anything, we talk about Krishna, the people will say, I know everything about Krishna. From childhood I know about Krishna, and they're eager to tell so many things about this thing, even though they don't know anything. Similarly, sometimes we also feel like, I know so many things, and but that is not the way. The way is that, you inquire from the higher, who is higher spiritually with compared to you. So you take more and more knowledge about spiritual life. Okay, that was a Vidura's mode. I know nothing. So similarly, I remember in case of Vidura's pastime, one more pastime which I remember, which is similar to Vidura, this Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami, I was, Sanatan Goswami was also big minister, and how much suffering Sanatan Goswami had to undergo. He was kind of put into jail because that was understanding between two brothers. So Sanatan Goswami asked Rupa Goswami, "You should first go, and I will stay back. If we go together, it will be a problem." So Rupa Goswami first went, he went away, and then Sanatan Goswami was staying for some time, and he stayed back, and he was never interested in this, what is it, in this king's work, and he left everything, and then he was put in behind the bar by the king, because he came to know Sanatan Goswami was telling, I am not well, and then in the home he was reading Bhagavatam, and all Brahmanas were coming, discussion about Bhagavatam, and how everything was happening. And this king came to know, and he put him behind the bar. And then he had to suffer so much. And finally, he went and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he says, who am I? People tell I am very intelligent, they tell very great personality, but I don't know who am I, and why I'm suffering this the three, four miseries of material world. So, the humility. So in this regard, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, this humility of yours, Sanatan Goswami, is breaking my heart. I am so much. So Lord get attracted by the humility. That is what even in the Sistastakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Tanarapi Sunichina Tarorapi Seshina Manina Manadina Kirtanya Sadhari. When these two brothers met Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami first met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they had grass in their mouth and they were standing far. And then Nityananda Prabhu came and caught them and bring him to in front of Lord Chaitanya in Ramkeli. So that is what we understand. The humility is very important. Krishna is not attracted by money. He has so much Lakshmis to serve him. He is not attracted by your reputation or your position. But how is your attitude to serve him? With how much humility you want to serve the Lord. So that makes a difference for him. He gets attracted. So that is what I was just remembering when seeing this mode of Vidura. He is trying to understand for Maitreya. Okay. So in the previous words, we saw, what was the instruction, final instruction of discussion between Maitra and Vidura. He was saying, simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name, form, etc. Ashesha Sanklesha Samam Vidate Gunanuvadaha Shravanam Murare Kimva Punaschak Charanaravindaha Praksivaratiratmalabha. Simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name, form, etc. of the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, one can achieve the cessation of unlimited material conditions. Unlimited miserable conditions. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained the attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet? So, this is the final instruction. I think previous lecture we would have covered this. Yeah. So that is, the understanding. This chanting of the holy name and hearing of this transcendental name and the pastime of the Lord are so very powerful. Even though it appears like a simple thing, but it is so very powerful. Okay. Yeah. So it says serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet. What to say of Lord's lotus feet? Even the dust of the devotees' lotus feet, So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it comes, Teen Mahabal, Bhakta Avashesha, Bhakta Padi Duli, and Bhakta Pada Jal. Yehi Teen Mahabal. So these are kind of three powerful things. Dust of the lotus feet of Lord or Lord's devotee. It is very powerful to kind of to develop a Krishna consciousness. Okay. So we understand this, similarly, we understand when Vyasadeva, he wrote 4 Vedas, he divided the complete knowledge into 4 Vedas. Because then he found it's more difficult. And then what he did, he kind of took off the essence from that and created Upanishads. And see, he found even Upanishad will be difficult for the people of Kali Yuga. So what he did, he wrote Puranas, different Puranas he wrote. And then he wrote Itihasas, Mahabharat, that Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's instructions, all this he gave. And then he thought, so much I have given, so I have to, people will not be able to read this. So let me put into sutras. So he wrote Vedanta Sutra. Okay. But still he was not satisfied. And then he was thinking, he was still kind of morose in his heart. And then Narad Muni came and he explained, Vyasadeva, you have not written explicitly about, you have not written completely pure thing about Lord's transcendental pastime and about pure devotional service. You have mixed so many things. So you just write something, you just write the, pure devotional service. So then he writes a Srimad Bhagavatam, which is kind of a natural commentary to Vedanta Sutra. So this is like, all the Sampradayas should have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they consider Srimad Bhagavatam as a natural commentary. So even though due to some circumstances, Baldev Vidyabhushan, he had to write Govinda Bhashya, which is basically a Bhagavatam only. But devotees accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the natural commentary of Vedanta Sutra. And so this is the kind of final, Vyasadeva had written so many things, so many knowledge he has given. And what was his final thing? At his maturity, he wrote the Shrimad Bhagavatam. And what is the kind of a final statement of Bhagavatam? Other day I was thinking, what is the final instruction Bhagavatam says? Because now in the previous verse, we see how the Maitreya gives a final instruction. Similarly, Bhagavatam, what does the last verse of Bhagavatam say? Hmm? So last verse of Bhagavatam say, Nama Sankirtanam Yasyaha Sarva Papa Pranashanam Prano Dukkha Sammanas Tam Namami Harim Param. Hmm? It says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all the sinful reaction, and offering of the obeisances unto whom relieves all the material suffering. Okay, so similarly, like here also we see in this shloka, what says, all the miserable conditions are removed by the chanting and hearing of the Lord's holy name and his transcendental pastime. Similarly, here also it says Nama Sankirtana. So this is a kind of a final instruction of Shrimad Bhagavatam also. This chanting of the holy name, and hearing of this congregational chanting, Sankirtana. So that is what Shrimad Bhagavatam also says. Okay. And what does this chanting of the holy name does? Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam Sheva Kairava Chandrika Vitranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandambudhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatmastanam Panam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Glories to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life. So this chanting of holy name does two things. It first extinguish the, first it cleans that heart, and one's heart is also clean simultaneously. It extinguishes the fire of conditioned life, all miseries, all troubles. It will be kind of extinguished conditioned life of this repeated birth and death. So because living entities kind of suffering in this material world, taking birth and death again and again, again and again. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is a life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of, it increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables to one fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So this is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, Shastastakam, which says the glory of the holy name, how powerful it is, this holy name. It cleanses the heart of all the dust, and it extinguishes all the miserable condition. So once one lecture which I was hearing, so ISKCON's one of the ISKCON Maharaj. So he was having interaction with one of the minister who was in kind of in charge for ecology. So then they were saying our government is doing so many things for ecology. What you people are doing? What ISKCON is kind of doing. So Maharaj was saying this pollution of the world, why it is created, why this pollution is there. Soil is getting polluted, water is getting, river is getting polluted, air is getting polluted. Why it is happening? Because there is so much greed, there is so much lust in the people to exploit, and that is the reason for all this pollution. What ISKCON is doing, or what devotees are doing, they are cleaning the heart of the devotees. How this heart is getting cleaned, by the chanting of the holy name. So by this holy name, their heart is getting clean. Their pollution in their heart is getting clean. And once this pollution get cleansed, the complete ecological issue will also get resolved, because there will be no desire to exploit, so that will go away. So even the everything, this pollution will also go away. So the minister appreciated, they also understand. Already this, thing is approved by all previous acharyas, like, how if the heart of the people are created, that is the need of this world. World is suffering from this one. World is suffering from the lack of Krishna consciousness. Okay, all because of the lust in the heart, all external pollution is created. Simply by chanting the names of Lord, the pollution of heart will get cleared. Like previous verse we saw how the Lord is so merciful. He comes into the heart and it cleans the heart of a devotee from inside. Which nobody else can do it. So that is how it is. So coming back to this Vidura's pastime. So Vidura, even after all this, he was so much. What that is a quality of devotee. Even though Dhritarashtra told him so many things, but he was so much kind of merciful upon Dhritarashtra. So he went back to after the pastime of this thing, he went back to the Dhritarashtra's, to say the palace of Pandavas, where Dhritarashtra was staying. Because after the killing of all the sons of, Dhritarashtra by the Pandavas. So Pandavas were like kind of a surgeon, or kind of they removed all this kind of a bad thing. And so similarly, so when Vidura went back and he instructed Dhritarashtra, and he took him to now at least why you're staying at the place of the killer of your children, like a dog. He uses some harsh word, and then because he wants his brother to elevate himself spiritually. And Dhritarashtra finally leaves along with his wife, and they go and meditate in the forest, and they attend to the Supreme Lord. Then due to the yogic power. So we understand, even though the chanting of the holy name, chanting of the name of Lord is so simple, even child can attain perfection. Not to, it doesn't require anything. Just full faith on Krishna. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and we have to just chant. But the living entity, or people like us, they want to go things which are easily available. Is they are not kind of satisfied with that. They want the difficult thing. So that is a general people's thought. They just go for a difficult thing. So, but we have to understand, even though this thing is very simple, but this is the most valuable, and it is the most working thing, which will give a devotion to the Lord. And goal of all scripture is to accept the holy name of the Lord. We can see Bhagavatam, which is kind of a essence of all the Vedic scripture. In Bhagavatam, we see many places. Even the last verse we see, it says, what it says, accept the holy name, chant the holy name of the Lord. That is what it says. Yeah, the spiritual life is very serious business. But what usually we tend to do it is, we make it as a kind of a shelf. Sometime whenever we are free, for example, if we don't have much work, or if I don't have any other thing to do, then kind of a visit to the temple, or then I can read Bhagavatam or something like that. So no, it's not like that. Spiritual life is kind of a very serious business. In this regard, I remember one this thing instruction of Indra Prabhu. Yeah, like I was seeing in yesterday WhatsApp group. Yesterday was Indra Prabhu's disappearance day. So Indra Prabhu was saying, like when we are chanting, we should remember each bead when we are chanting the holy name. Even though I am also not able to practice, I'm just repeating the same thing what I heard. He says each bead when you're chanting, we have to think, this is my last bead, or this is the last time I'm chanting. This can be the last time. Death can come any moment. So we have to chant thinking that this is the last beat, or this is the last time I'm chanting the holy name. So much energy, or so much seriousness we should chant beat after beat, thinking this might be the last, this might be the last, I should chant. And I was hearing Indra Prabhu was chanting more than 100 rounds. Plus he had so many shaligram shilas, daily he used to massage with the oil. And similarly, he did a 24 hours kirtan. He was in charge for 24 hours kirtan in Krishna Balram temple, Vrindavan. So that is what, and the Prabhu's, this thing was there. But usually we have this tendency, sometimes we like to like how the person, how the devotee is doing a kirtan, what is his tune, like we go to the movie. Similarly, we try to kind of enjoy this, but it's not like that. It's kind of a very serious business. We should approach our spiritual life very urgently. We should take it very urgently. Even though I am telling this, I'm telling to myself also. We should take it very urgently, and it is very important that we purify our heart as soon as possible. Hmm. If we approach the Lord as like entertainment, the Lord will also reciprocate like that. If you go slow, then Lord will also reciprocate slowly. Hmm. So that is how. And if we take it very seriously, the Lord will also bless us very serious, fast. So like that. So yeah. So I just remember already I've covered this, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's with Sanatana Goswami. Hmm. So this we have covered. Also, I remembered, like when Vidura was traveling, even though he was from a very big background, he had so many this thing, everything. When he was traveling, he was just dependent on the Lord, Lord's holy name. And similarly, we remember Srila Prabhupada. When he traveled to US, he had, he says, I have nothing. I just have faith on my spiritual master's words, and I have this holy name. The complete faith on the holy name. So Prabhupada had complete faith on the holy name. And then he faced so many difficulty. He says, when I get down from the ship, I didn't know whether I should go to right or I should go to the left. I just get down to a new city. I don't know their language. Their accent is different. Everything is different. So we understand how Srila Prabhupada had the complete faith in the holy name. And as we remember that shloka 9.22 or this 9.31, so my devotees shall never perish. I will carry whatever they lack. And due to this firm faith in the words of Guru and in the words of Krishna, he was able to spread this holy name throughout the world in just 11 years. Even though he was preparing it for lifetime, we will see that Prabhupada did it from the age of 69 when he went to US. But for that, he was preparing all his life from the day he met his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. From that day, he was trying, he was preparing, and then finally, he was able to spread this glories of holy name throughout the world. So Lord purposely puts his devotees to a difficult situation and then gives all glories to them. So, we see Prabhupada had so much difficulty, had to suffer so much. He will be saying, it is a curse to me by the parents of the children who have joined full-time brahmachari that I cannot stay in one place. Like this is a similar curse which Narad Muni has got from what is it, Daksha, and then Prabhupada says, to his sannyas disciple, now you have to take this curse. Similarly, Prabhupada had to suffer so much to just spread this holy name throughout the world. The main thing is the faith. So we also have to build the faith. So and here, so if there is any mistake or there is anything, I ask forgiveness. Please, if there is any comment or there is any queries, you can ask. Oh, I just read the comment now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Very good lecture, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Any queries or questions? Thanks, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare
Okay,
Krishna,
so,
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Mataji.
सभी को Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Yeah. So,
Sabhi ko Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So we will end here. Huh? So if there is no more questions, thank you for your time. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.